we're good.
Okay.
We have to talk about leadership in crisis and the beekeeping.
So you have the.
Boy, that was an eye-opening video.
I know.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I couldn't. I got like halfway
It's
through.
so long.
Okay.
What video is this?
Yeah, because I watched it this morning. It was so
Oh, we had to watch a video?
Yeah, there was a link.
about the BP, all the mistakes that they made, and the Deepwater Horizon, how all their ignorance on safety led to Deepwater Horizon.
Oh,
That was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they screwed the pooch in that one.
Literally.
And it happens all the time, though. And that's the thing that people don't realize. It when you put those pipes so deep under the water, a lot of times it leaks out there and it never makes the news. When this came out, this was really huge.
Well, I just feel like they're very careless in the way that they handled the situation.
Oh, big time careless.
You know, and I get that they want to like cover their organizations behind, but I think you have to
They
take
don't want to lose their
somewhat
money.
of ownership. Yeah.
It's all about
Big
money.
companies,
Science.
yeah, money. You're right. You know, big companies will always do that. No matter how unethical it is, they're always going to protect the company's reputation, or try to at least. You know, to do that. It doesn't matter who suffered. It doesn't matter what happened. That's just the nature of the beast. It's always like that. No matter, even the government. You know, we go on missions. We used to go on missions that nobody even knew. You know.
Yeah, that no one knows about.
Until it gets out. So some knucklehead decided to take a picture of it. You know, but corporations will have always done that. And always will.
All the ways that they cut costs at the expense of safety was disgusting. I can't even. It's hard to even wrap your head around. Like, how could you live with yourself if you were like that safety guy, or you were the engineer who decided, yeah, it's okay, we can use this other, lower quality cement or whatever it was. It was building that drilling platform. Like, how could you live with yourself at night knowing that your name is on that? And
Right.
Yeah. And that all starts at the top too.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Because they have to sign off on it. They have to say,
you're turning a blind eye. You're in pre-crisis, and you made the decision to move forward anyway.
Well, I mean, it comes like everyone said, it comes from top down. I mean, the decisions to cut 25% of their budget for years and years, it just trickles down to every single person, even the inspectors who it's like sending one of us out to go inspect pipelines. I mean, come on. Not qualified, but it's oil.
Everybody gets greased. So there's a lot of greasing going on with a lot of inspectors. You know, and the people that they're in charge of quality control, or this person that had to sign off on everything, saying everything was okay. A lot of them get pressured to lose their job, get blackballed, get this, get that. So a lot of them fold and go ahead and sign off on paperwork. And they're not thinking that something like this or something this huge could ever happen. Because what's the percentage of it happening? It's very, very small, actually. But it happens. You say it's very small, but it happens all the time. Because they're trying to save their jobs, they think of their families, thinking of this, because they're getting, from the leaders on top, they're getting forced to do this thing. You know, but this all rolls back into ethics. I mean, at the end of the day, what's your moral compass tell you? You know.
Even one of the people in the video, like someone in the Department of Interior, said that the laws in the government, they had no teeth. So BP could continue to go on and violate safety rules and regulations, but then the next day they're given a permit to go drill in the Gulf. So it doesn't even matter. They just
I mean, they were fined. You know, the book even mentions that as one of like their examples too, and. It says that they fined them, but what's a slap on the wrist when
no one cares about fines? That's ridiculous.
No one cares about fines.
They'll just pay it and get over it.
It's like years and years later that they finally levied the fines. Like it was like 5 years later that they got fined for that big explosion in Texas. 5 years. I mean,
5 years later, that's crazy.
years later. Like, okay, well, no, everyone's forgotten about it then.
Yeah.
Well, because that's when it was in pre-crisis. You know, you're still in that stage where something could go wrong, but it hasn't gone wrong yet. And a lot of times leadership is just like, yeah, let it go for now. Nothing's happened yet.
Right. Yeah, well, they say one thing. They say, well, we're going to make safety our top priority, and they talk that, but they don't actually implement anything. That's what's terrible.
Safety is never, when it comes to corporations, no matter what they're doing, whether they're building a building or doing a pipeline or doing this or doing that, safety is never, as much as they say that the safety is the number one priority, it never is. Money is.
They preach it, they don't follow it.
Bingo. Money's always going to be the top priority because at the end of the day, money's what makes the corporation keep moving and keep pushing. And the investors and stockholders and shareholders are the ones getting all the money. At the end of the day, they got to answer to them. So that's when they start cutting corners. And when something like this happens, they start blaming fingers. When it comes from the top. All that comes from the top. You know, if you're a leader and you're in charge of all this, all that paperwork's got to come through you. That's the reason you have section leaders. If the section leaders are signing off on it, they all need to get fired. At the end of the day. But again, it comes from the top. It's what you can live with, or what you can try to get away with. Because if you don't get caught, it never happens.
That's true. This is a little off topic, but kind of the same. I don't know if you guys watch Grey's Anatomy, but they just had an episode about this guy. He couldn't afford to fix their apartment building and it collapsed. And then so all these people died. And then like he couldn't afford to fix it, but he didn't want to say anything. So, but it's kind of like that. It's like people don't want to pay for it, but there's lives at stake, but you don't really think about it until something bad happens.
I mean, that happens, of course. You think all those safety engineers at BP, you know, they knew what was going on, but
yeah,
send a memo up to their supervisor, and then nothing happens. Well, I just couldn't live with myself that way. Like if you knew how bad it was.
But it's about being ethical over money, over doing the right thing. So it's like a double-edged sword at that point for them, because people are stuffing money in their pockets saying, you know, don't just turn your cheek, it's going to be fine, this is what we have a budget for. And then it's like,
the worst part is that
about their jobs.
I think a lot of companies are like that.
Right.
I remember that.
With ethics, though,
about whistleblowers and how the whistleblower gets fired. Well, you know, those guys working on those oil rigs, I mean, that's their livelihood. So are they going to continue to have a job and just be scared all the time, or are they going to say something and possibly get fired and have this, you know, black mark on their reputation?
But a lot of times, like, as far as like government ethics go, it's, you know, oh, we see a problem, but all we're going to do is fine it. Like, give him a fine. We already said it's just a slap on the wrist. Like, you know, government leaders should be saying, hey, let's do more than fine them. Let's shut them down until they fix it.
Exactly.
They would, but a lot of these politicians
are in their pockets.
Right.
And also, for a lot of these contractors and a lot of these quality control people and managers and stuff, if the project comes in under budget, if the project is done faster, if it's finished before the time limit, they'll get huge bonuses. You know, I have a buddy who's
corners to get the bonus.
I have a buddy who does industrial construction, and he builds those big, you know, those things that you see like nuclear plants and all that stuff. He does that kind of stuff. And he was on the project one day, and they told him to sign off on something. He said, no. He goes, no, he goes, I quit. He goes, bro, it was not worth, my reputation is not worth somebody getting injured. I just walked off the plan and told him I quit.
Wow.
Work somewhere else. And this guy, in like 4 months, makes over 100 G's.
Heck
It's
yeah.
crazy, you know? So, I mean, he kept to his moral compass, you know, and he stood up for what he believed in. I mean, and people still hire him all over the place. He still travels all over the place and stuff.
Think of how different it would have been in Alaska with that other spill if the engineers and the safety people had said, like, okay, we have to properly inspect these pipelines. If they stood up with their moral compass too and said something instead of just going along every day and thousands of miles of pipelines just aren't looked at.
And that's the problem with a lot of leaders. They don't believe in standing up for their convictions. They don't believe in standing up for what's right, no matter what the consequences are. And by the way, I've been seeing a lot of these videos, and when I see these big words that come out wrong, you girls don't say nothing.
What?
You post the videos, I'm like, I sound like Daffy Duck talking sometimes. I'm gonna yell at these girls for not correcting.
Not
you can't ruin your train of thought.
We understand what you're saying, sir.
I hate when people do that to me, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about now.
I'm blaming my Spanish. But they don't stand up for what they believe in because they're gonna follow what their leaders want and stuff like that because they don't want to create havoc or they don't want to go against the tide, and it's horrible. And this is the things that happen when that happens. You got the Grey's Anatomy thing. That all happens. It happens in New York, Boston,
everywhere.
All the time. It never makes the news. Those are like the term slumlords. That's what they are. They don't want to fix anything that's going to come out of their pocket. They'll patch it up a little bit, and what happens, happens. And they don't care. A lot of times, they don't care when people get hurt. Oh, well.
Yeah, because it's going to cost them money. So are they going to replace a stairwell or a railing and spend $500? Or are they like, oh, well, it's okay. It can wait. Someone else.
Brandy Mercedes.
It's not bad enough.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible, but corporations will always try to hide it. People like that will always try to hide it.
Look at the guy in the beekeeping. He went in front of, he had a deposition and he just flat out lied that he didn't know how bad things were. He flat out lied.
As if he doesn't know. But the problem is they all have the best lawyers ever, so they can get away with things like that because
it's just some
whatever.
Thing,
just pay your lawyers.
At $1,000 an hour, they got a little good lawyers.
Yeah.
And they'll drag it and drag it and drag it. And while everything's getting dragged, money's getting funneled somewhere else. It's the nature of the beast. It's unfortunate that people, this is how they think. And I hope there's a special place in hell for these people.
For all the animals they killed, they're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we finish up, we need to touch on ways that we believe organizations can prepare leaders for crisis.
Well, I think there needs to be crisis plans set in place for so it's all uniform throughout the company. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. We had those guys that used to climb the towers. Every single job site, there had to be an emergency plan. You have to know in advance. So where's the nearest hospital? Who's on this? And what's the plan if the guy gets stuck up on the tower? Every single time until if the corporation, if the management decides that they're going to make safety a priority, then that trickles down to every single person on that job site. So we're prepared every time, and it's ingrained in your. Before we start on the tower, there's a safety plan. Everyone signs it.
Right.
In the military, I'm going to use this as an example. We have processes in place and try to think of every contingency that could happen. We have contingencies in place for stuff. If this doesn't work, which way we'll go? We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. Every person from the lowest private to the highest officer knows what's expected under that same process that we use. And it's the same process that we use for every mission. It's a process that we put in place. And if more companies had a straight process in place to be able to handle the contingencies that come up or anything else, these things wouldn't happen. When they do happen, they'd be able to handle them faster with better results. Because they don't
Starbucks, Starbucks has a very specific one. If X, Y, and Z happen, you do this. If A, B, and C happens, you do this. Right down to someone is overdosing in the bathroom.
Oh, that's crazy.
The exact steps that you have to take whenever anything happens.
And it proves there's a company who were you know about the process, not just written down in some book that, you know, was thrown up on a shelf.
Right.
You actually know it. Like, they told you about it, you're familiar with it. You can have a process or a procedure, but if it's not communicated and no one cares, well, you know, someone burns themselves and you're scrambling around, where's the book? What do we do now? But, you know, they actually make safety in those procedures known and communicated.
All right, that's time, guys.